All right, Dee, it's always kind of hard to follow up when Roy's been on.
I mean, can we not flip our segments and let me go first instead of having to keep following him?
No, because Roy's a good client. And
I'm not. That's right, I'm not.
And Roy backed me up on my matches.
I mean, you know, you don't got a fan you could have switched on or something and taught her that?
Yeah.
Fan don't do the job. A match will get it done.
It's a little girl, not a grown man.
Huh?
She's a little girl, not a grown man.
She needs to learn the essentials.
I'll teach her the essentials.
All right, Dee,
Yeah,
what we
she will. Yeah,
Abby will
we'll let Abby and Gloria take care.
What we talking about today?
Take care of all that.
She's got to get a little bit of Jamie in her.
She's got.
I think she's got plenty of Jamie in her, and I think again we're trying to do a nice Southern woman, not a female Jamie Cooper. I'm not sure the world is ready for a female Jamie.
If anybody can handle it, she can. Maddie Rover Cooper can do it. What are you talking about?
You know, keep doing the podcast. Have had a lot of fun. David Hood. Just interviewed him. His is up, and David's a really good guy. Interviewed Spike McCroy yesterday.
Really?
Yeah. Spike won a PGA tournament in 2002.
Isn't he from Huntsville?
Yeah, from Huntsville. He's a stockbroker now. Really interesting guy. But the one I wanted to talk about was a guy named Ron Klein. Ron is the headmaster at Westminster Christian Academy. And everybody that's listening, my podcasts are free. Go to my website, DeeLauderdale.com, and listen to Ron Klein. If you don't listen to anything else, listen to Ron. This guy grew up in Salt Lake City, the oldest of 12 kids, left home at 16, had a really rough kind of situation at home, left home, but not the typical leaving home. He left home, went and rented a room at a boarding house, and continued school.
Really?
Finished high school. At 16, yeah. In fact, the truant officer came and picked him up, took him to court, and got before the judge. And the judge was going to send him to, I guess, reform school or whatever, and said, you know, we want to make sure the kid's back in school. We want to take care of this. And Ron said he told the judge, well, sir, I am in school.
I've never stopped.
And the judge said, you're doing what? Well, yeah, I'm still in school. He said, well, you got to have a job. And he said, I have a job. And the judge looked at him and said, guess there's no reason. Okay, just keep on doing what you're doing. Yeah. And a mutual friend of ours had the greatest thing to say about Ron. He said Ron didn't pull himself up by his bootstraps. He had to make his own bootstraps first.
No doubt.
And it's just an amazing story. So he finishes school, tries college. That's not for him. Goes in the Army. Makes it into Vietnam and gets assigned to these things that were called LRP patrols, long-range reconnaissance patrols, because you didn't have satellites and stuff for. So they would send patrols of 5 to 6 guys, drop them in the middle of the jungle and right on the border in Laos and Cambodia, and they would stay out for 6 or 7 days trying to see where the enemy was, right? And the way they found out is that they got in firefights. If they got engaged with the enemy, and if there weren't very many engagements, then the commanders would go, okay, that place is safe or whatever. He survives all of that, does his 20 years, retires, and then starts a defense contractor in Huntsville. Does really well with that. Starts the Huntsville Chamber of Commerce Leadership Academy. Then sells his company and is at a time when he could have not really done anything else. Right. He was financially secure. He's on the board at Westminster, tries to help them through some things. They lose the headmaster. He comes in and does it on an interim basis. Then they lose the next headmaster, and he comes in and he says, okay, I'll do it permanently.
Dang.
Wow.
He's 66 or 67 years old, and he's willing to do it. What I love about Ron, though, is that he never let his circumstances define what he could or could not do. He never once said,
Didn't use that as an excuse.
No, not at all. He just said, he said he figured out in life that he could not depend on living someone else's dreams. He couldn't depend on just saying, well, I can't do it. He just decided he was going to do stuff.
Now, is that the type of person you're looking for in these podcasts?
I'm looking for anybody who's got a great story to tell. Obviously, those are better. Those kinds of stories are better. Anything who's got an interesting story. Yeah, it really is an inspirational story. With David Hood, what I learned from David was he figured out early on in life what he liked to do, and then he figured out a way to make a living do it. Same way you did.
Yeah.
I mean, absolutely. He just said he liked playing bass, he liked playing music, And so he
That's what he
figured out,
wanted to do.
yeah, which is the exact opposite of what most of us do. Most of us do figure out a way to make a living,
And
then we
what we like
figure
to
out
do.
what we like to do. And that's why we're
That's a good
miserable
point.
at our job.
Yeah.
It's because we're not
What is
really...
it, 85% of the people that go to work don't like what they do for a living?
I
That is
suspect it's
correct.
higher than 85%. I'd be shocked if it were that low. Just, because we
Really?
don't think it's possible to make a living doing what we love. But guys like you and David and a bunch of these guys that I've talked to have shown that it is.
What about guys like you?
I'm still trying to figure out what I like to do. I do enjoy doing the podcast, and one of these days I'll figure out a way to make some money
money
doing
at
it.
it.
Yeah, man, this media business is tough.
No kidding.
I mean, I don't.
It ain't as easy as it used to be, but some of us has hung in there as long as we can.
I mean, you figured out a way to do it, and so, I mean, it shows you that there is. But seriously, if you've got I wish every kid at Westminster Academy would listen to this podcast to hear the kind of man they've got leading them, and I wish every 16-year-old boy would listen to this interview and just hear what's possible. Because Ron's very low-key, he's very humble, I almost couldn't get him to sit down and talk. It was really hard to get him to do it.
Don't forget, coming up tomorrow, Joseph Scott, the Mustang Man. I guess he wished he could be doing that all the time, too, instead of what he does, because he might be an actor soon.
Well,
Joseph will be coming up with us
He will
tomorrow,
be.
and you got a special friend coming down,
That's
our
right,
buddy.
Nancy's going to be talking about. I'm not sure if Jonathan's going to make it or not, but Nancy's going to be giving us some makeup tips. And she's a
Our
makeup artist.
tips.
party truck's not making it. It's going to the Rolling Stone concert tonight.